Welcome to the Captain English podcast. I'm your host, Paul, and I am super excited for today's topic.
And I'm Alice, your co-host. It's great to be back with all of you. Paul, I have a feeling today's episode is going to hit home for a lot of our listeners, myself included from my earlier days of learning English.
Oh, absolutely, Alice. Today we're tackling that age-old challenge, that constant hurdle that so many English learners face. How to stop translating in your head and truly start thinking in English. It's like, having this little translator living inside your brain, constantly working overtime.
Exactly. It's exhausting, right? You hear a sentence, then you translate it into your native language, formulate a response in your native language, translate that back into English, and then finally speak. By then, the conversation has moved on, or you just feel completely drained.
It's a huge bottleneck, really. And it doesn't just slow you down. It actually prevents you from sounding natural. When you translate word for word, you often end up with sentences that don't quite sound right to a native speaker, even if the grammar is technically correct. The idioms, the natural flow, it all gets lost in translation.
That's so true. It's like trying to navigate a new city by constantly looking at a map of your hometown. You're trying to overlay one language's structure onto another, and it just doesn't quite fit. So, Paul, where do we even begin with this? It feels like such a deeply ingrained habit for many.
Well, the first step, and this might sound simple, but it's crucial, is awareness. Acknowledge that you're doing it. Notice when that internal translator kicks in. Once you recognize it, you can start to actively try and bypass it. But beyond awareness, one of the most powerful tools is immersion, even if you're not living in an English-speaking country.
Immersion is key. And what that means for most people isn't necessarily packing your bags and moving to London or New York, right? It's about creating an English environment around you, wherever you are, like changing your phone settings to English, listening to English music, watching English movies with English subtitles.
Exactly. Make English your everyday companion. Think about it. When you learn your first language, you don't have a translator. You learn by associating objects and actions directly with words. We need to recreate that as much as possible. When you see a chair, you don't think silla then chair if your native language is Spanish. You just see the object and think chair.
Oh, I love that point, Paul. It's about connecting the concept directly to the English word. Instead of table then mesa, just see the table, then four legs, the flat top, and then the word table comes directly. It's a mental shortcut, really.
Right. And a practical exercise for this is to start labeling things around your house. Get sticky notes. Write the English word for refrigerator, door, lamp, window, and stick them on the actual objects. Every time you see that object, you see the English word. It builds that direct connection.
That's brilliant. It turns your home into a mini English classroom. Another thing I found incredibly helpful was to start my internal monologue in English. You know, that voice in your head that narrates your day, plans your tasks, or just muses about random things? Try to make that voice speak in English.
That's a fantastic one, Alice. It's like, instead of thinking, I need to go to the store and buy milk, in your native language, you actively try to think, okay, I need to buy milk. What else do I need from the grocery store today? In English, it forces your brain to process thoughts in the target language.
It can feel really awkward at first, almost like you're talking to yourself, which you are. But it trains your brain. Start small. Describe what you're doing, what you're seeing. I am walking. The sky is blue. I am drinking coffee. Simple sentences to build that muscle.
Yes, absolutely. And don't worry if it's not perfect. The goal isn't perfect grammar in your head. It's about making English the default language for your thoughts. Another tip is to use English dictionaries. When you look up a word, don't look for its translation. Look for its definition in English. This forces you to understand the concept within the English framework.
Oh, that's a big one, Paul. I remember when I switched from a bilingual dictionary to an English-only one, it was a game changer. Suddenly, I wasn't just getting a single word equivalent. I was getting a whole explanation, synonyms, usage examples, all in English. It broadened my understanding so much more.
It definitely makes a huge difference. And if you're finding this advice helpful, before we continue, just a quick friendly reminder to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us bring more great content like this to you every week, and you won't miss out on any future episodes.
Yes, please do. We love having you as part of the Captain English community. Now, back to our topic. Beyond dictionaries and internal monologue, what about when you have to speak? The pressure is real when you're in a live conversation.
That's where practice comes in, obviously. But specific kinds of practice. One exercise I highly recommend is shadowing. Find a podcast or a video in English, listen to a short sentence, pause it, and then try to repeat it exactly as you heard it, matching the intonation, the speed, everything. You're not just repeating words, you're mimicking the rhythm and flow of English. This primes your mouth and brain to produce English sounds without the translation step.
Shadowing is incredible because it bypasses that analytical part of your brain that wants to translate. You're just copying the sounds, almost like a baby learning to speak. You're focusing on pronunciation and rhythm, not just the individual words and their meanings.
Exactly. And for those who are a bit more advanced, try to describe your day, or a movie you watched, or a book you read, out loud to yourself in English. Again, it sounds a little crazy, talking to yourself, but it's such an effective way to practice forming coherent thoughts and sentences in English, without the pressure of a real conversation partner.
I used to do that in the shower. No one could hear me, so I felt completely free to make mistakes. And trust me, I made a lot of mistakes back then. But it didn't matter because I was building confidence and fluency without fear of judgment.
The shower is a great place, or while you're cooking or commuting, anytime you have some quiet moments alone. And don't shy away from using simpler words or structures at first. It's better to express yourself clearly and directly in English, with simple vocabulary, than to get stuck trying to translate a complex phrase from your native language.
That's such an important point. We often try to translate complex ideas verbatim, and that's where the translation trap really snags us. Sometimes a simple, "I'm happy," is much more effective than trying to translate a nuanced phrase about joy or contentment from your first language.
Absolutely. Embrace simplification, especially in the beginning. Another really fun technique is to actively try and explain a concept in English without ever using your native language. Imagine you're teaching English to someone, but you can only use English words they already know, or draw pictures. It forces you to think creatively in English.
That's a fantastic exercise, Paul. It builds circumlocution skills, which are vital for fluency. You learn to describe what you mean even if you don't know the exact word. It keeps the conversation flowing in English, rather than stopping to grab your dictionary or relying on that internal translator.
Precisely. And let's be honest, it's not going to happen overnight. This is a habit that takes time to break, and a new habit that takes time to build. There will be moments where you catch yourself translating. Don't get discouraged. Just acknowledge it and redirect your thoughts back to English.
Patience and persistence are key here. It's a journey, not a destination. Every time you consciously choose to think in English, even for a moment, you're strengthening that neural pathway. Think of it like building a new road in your brain.
What a great analogy, Alice. The more you use that new road, the smoother and faster it becomes. And eventually, it becomes the default route. You'll find yourself speaking more spontaneously, understanding faster, and just feeling more comfortable and confident in English.
That moment when you realize you just had an entire conversation, or even just a thought, purely in English without even noticing you did it. That's a truly liberating feeling. It means you're really making progress.
It really is. And that's what we want for all of you. To reach that point where English isn't just a language you know, but a language you think in, effortlessly. So, start small, be consistent, and be kind to yourself throughout the process.
Absolutely. Embrace the challenge, enjoy the journey, and celebrate every small victory. You've got this. Thanks for tuning in today.
Thanks for joining us on Captain English Podcast. Remember to subscribe for more tips and inspiration to boost your English fluency. We'll catch you next time.